You got a team, here's a word to the wise. You want to dominate your league? Go to Footballguys.
Football, I'm living in a fantasy. Football, got everybody mad at me. Football, cause every game I had to win. Football, I gotta be a champion. Football, I'm living in a fantasy.
Thursday night football. It is Baltimore. It is Tampa Bay. And look at that picture, Bloom. I'm saying, give me a sandwich. That's what I'm saying. Anyway, let's talk about the Ravens side of things. And I guess it's get on the Gus bus and all the receivers are hurt. And hopefully Mark Andrews can play. It's a short week and there's a lot with Baltimore. We're recording on Wednesday morning that we don't yet know.
Yeah, I think that this is a really intriguing matchup for a Thursday night game. And hopefully, like last week's game, it'll actually have some offense and be a good game. With Baltimore, what we're watching is, and there's a lot of talk this week on the couch about with Scott Barrett about changes, about how things can change during the season. And being the best fantasy football player from here on out isn't about your draft anymore. It might not even be about your trades and waiver wire pickups. It's about adjusting to the changes and understanding when we've really seen a change and when it might be temporary. Is it temporary that this is a 16 pass attempt, 44 rush attempt team? I'm inclined to say no, but they're facing a Tampa defense that is a good defense against the run, at least until last week when Dante Foreman and Chuba Hubbard sliced and diced them. Now, was that an emotional thing? Was that just a one-off game? I think that Baltimore is smartly going to run a lot of Gus Bus, and you have a banged up Mark Andrews, a banged up Rashad Bateman who may or may not play. That doesn't necessarily mean to put Devin Duvernay in though, because again, if it's 16 pass attempts, well, you're not really going to want anybody in this pass offense. Just like last week, you're still going to play Lamar Jackson, but we're looking at this and how it implicates him. And another part of this variable here, Cease, is how's Tom Brady going to do? Because if Tom Brady is good, well, then they might not have the luxury of sitting back and running the ball. So a lot of questions here. One team in transition, one team that might need a transition or something to get out of the doldrums. So again, very intriguing matchup. And Cease, I think another theme that we need to keep in mind as we talk about week 8 is, with the exception of a few teams, Buffalo, Philadelphia, Dallas, Kansas City, I guess, every other team is in some sort of, who are we? Where's the season going? How these teams
mention the Giants. Don't forget those Giants, baby.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But my point is just that, we got 11 weeks left in the NFL season, right? And who goes to the playoffs is going to be determined by these last 11 weeks. Really, the first 7 weeks, because of how mediocre everybody's been record-wise, can really just be based on what you do for the last 2.5 months of the season. So teams have to figure these things out. I think Baltimore did figure something out last week, and we'll see if they can keep it rolling.
They'll keep it rolling against Tampa Bay. And is it dip or decline for Tom Brady? That's the question. The answer is Thursday night, as it continues to look like a decline in play, continues to look like a lack of cohesion up front on the offensive line, continues to look like they need to run the ball more. I don't know what the answer is for Tampa Bay, Bloom. Mike Evans dropping passes like it's just bizarro world with the Buccaneers.
Right. With the Bucs, if Evans catches that ball, maybe we're talking about an entirely different game, entirely different story. And that's how the NFL is, right? It swings on these plays, sometimes bad luck, sometimes bad injury luck. But in this case, it seemed like the Bucs were morose for the rest of that game on offense and on defense. So what are they going to do to get up in a short week? The funny thing is, they're still in first place. They're still the favorite to win the division. As bad as things have gone for this Tampa Bay team, they should win the division. In fact, if they don't win the division, even if they're still this same team, we're not even saying they're going to change and become a good team again. Just this mediocre team should win this division. Now, going up against Baltimore, you do have a team that can put pressure on the quarterback. The Ravens can, but that secondary that we used to fawn over is vulnerable. Jacoby Brissett had a pretty good game against them. It was actually a sack when Calais Campbell came in and forced a fumble that made the difference when you look back at that game last week. So, yeah, you're putting Evans in, you're putting Godwin in. Doesn't look like Cameron Brate's going to play, so Kate Otten is your Travis Kelce, Gerald Everett bye week coverage. Still going to play Leonard Fournette. Now, last week, Tom Brady in his dink and dunk passing game didn't really target the running backs that much. We know Rachaad White is an interesting player, maybe adds more value on his touches than Fournette at this point. It's about a 60-40 split in terms of snaps, although when we looked at touches last week, it was pretty even. So this is something we're continuing to monitor. Fournette remains a boom-bust running back 2, especially in PPR. Maybe he's closer to running back 1. White, what the heck flex desperation play, but with a lot of potential value. And Tom Brady, again, if Brady is your backup to Patrick Mahomes or Justin Herbert, then I understand playing Tom Brady. I mean, you're going to compare him to potential waiver wire pickups. That's fine, but he's not a preferred pickup. I'm sorry, a preferred play this week. This isn't an offense that is turning into a multiplier or helping the value of its players. And we'll get a up close look on Thursday night of just where they are against what should be a defense that at least won't be an easy one to solve.
Yeah, and as we solve things, we go to London. Bloom, look at this face.
Yeah.
Besides the wanting a
Eager.
Baconator, I totally blame Baconator, by the way. But like,
Indeed.
look at all the hope and the dream. You know,
Yeah.
like these Broncos, they're pretty good. And then now look at this face.
Yeah.
The dream is gone for the Denver Broncos as they travel to London to face the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm actually kind of thinking if they lost, they might not bring a head coach back to the United States.
Deport him.
Yeah, exactly. Get him over there. Taking
Have
our
security
jobs.
escort him out of the building.
It's not even our building. Get him out of here anyway. Yeah, it's Broncos and Jaguars, and that's the game in London this week. So I'll have a pregame show at 7:15 in the morning. You know I'm happy about that, Bloom. Let's talk Denver side, and it's probably going to be Russell Wilson again. It's Wednesday morning, we're recording, but Russ really, really wants to play. He really, really wanted to play last week. He has a partially torn hamstring still. They have a bye week the week after. So for the love of God, can someone please get through to Russell Wilson? Can that actually be Happy Fun Baby Star Nathaniel Hackett? Probably not. But I look at it and I go, one more week and you get a bye. And then you can come back and you got 3 winnable games.
Yeah.
Tennessee, Carolina, the Raiders. I think I've had that out of order. But either way, like, give him some rest.
Be okay.
Yeah.
It's
but if
gonna
not,
be okay.
Brett Rippon will be in there. And I guess he loves Jerry Jeudy. Featured him for a trade. And, you know, the struggles continue with Cortland Sutton. I'm not really starting any of the Broncos, Bloom. I guess I should have just started the whole thing off that way and been like, nah, you got Broncos this week. You don't need to start him.
Yeah.
Although it is
not.
against Jacksonville. Whatever.
Right. Probably not. This makes me think of that big Jacksonville upset. What was it? The second year the Jacksonville was in existence?
Yeah. Oh,
when they beat
that's
the Broncos in the playoffs?
The Broncos could have went 3-peat. No one, and I owe Pat Riley a quarter now. No one in the NFL has gone 3 in a row. And the Broncos could have. That was 96. And then they won in 97 and they won in 98.
Right.
And man, that 96 team, they were rolling, they were balling. And then Jacksonville, Mark Brunell, Keenan McCardell, Jimmy Smith.
Yeah.
Came to town,
memory
got it
lane.
done.
Can you tell I'm getting old that all these games trigger memory lane? But I think you laid out in a specific case exactly what I was saying in a general case, that no matter what has gone on for the first 7 weeks of the season with your team, if they can get it together, they can make the playoffs and make us forget about those first 7 weeks. And Denver, absolutely, that applies to. So you're right. For fantasy, let's just get this out of the way. Whether it's Wilson or Rippon, you're probably not playing anybody. Maybe Greg Dulcich. I don't know. I suppose if it's Rippon, you're more likely to put in Jerry Jeudy. If it's Wilson, are you more likely to put in Cortland Sutton? I don't even know. I mean, is it even better if Russell Wilson plays? I don't know. I think we can adjust to this continuing to be a very low wattage offense for fantasy football. The much more interesting angle is how this is either a springboard or another stumbling block for the Broncos, because if the Broncos just scored 20 points in every game, and see, when you were looking hopeful in the offseason about the Broncos, so I would have said, are they going to how many games out of 17 are they going to score 20 points with Russell Wilson?
17,
right? Or
exactly.
15 or 16. If they just scored 20 points a game, what would the record be?
They'd be undefeated.
6-1.
6-1. Yeah. If
6-1.
it was 18
Raiders.
points a game, if it was 18 points a game, they'd be 6-1.
Yeah. Well, I think they lost 19-16 to the Chargers in overtime. So I guess in regulation, if they could score 18 points a game in regulation, right? The point is, it's been there. The defense, you keep talking about the defense and the defensive coordinator because the defense is a winning unit. They're playing winning football, but the offense has not been. So if you could scratch out 20 points against the Jags this week and get a win, like you said, Cecil, everything could change around after the bye.
Everything changes around in Jacksonville. This is their get right game. Like that's where Denver's at right now. Because Jacksonville, everything that I said about the Broncos, right? And like, hey, get it right or whatever. Like Jacksonville is thinking the exact same damn thing. They are thinking like, hey, we can go out and beat these guys. And they've got the players that could do just that. You're going to pick on Damari Mathis in the secondary. You're going to stay away from whoever Pat Surtain is covering. So, and then you're going to use Travis Etienne as much as possible.
Yeah.
No James Robinson anymore. So that clears the way. So we'll see what happens with Jacksonville in this one, but they got to be feeling pretty good themselves going up against Denver. Both of these teams, it's the Spider-Man meme, right? They're pointing at each other.
Yeah.
They're the same damn record, same damn team. One's got a better coach, Jacksonville, and a better quarterback, Jacksonville.
Yeah, and a team that also got off to a start. Remember, they beat the Chargers 38-10 in LA. That we thought this is actually already a good team, and they still might be. Again, it's the story of 2022 season has not completely been written. And you're right, Cecil, to look at this game again as a springboard or a stumbling block for these teams. We know that Jacksonville's not going to score a lot. I don't think we're going to see the Denver defense suddenly break down. Now, we did see them in so much they had that bad game. It was Josh Jacobs. It was the running game. So Travis Etienne is potentially going to go off. Scott Barrett said he looks at him as a league winner. I know Will in our chat room was saying that too, and it's very possible because now you're giving him a lot more opportunities. Just needs to hold up, just needs to hang on to the football. If he hadn't fumbled into the end zone last week, he could have had an even bigger game. And that's it. You're not going to have Pat Surtain in the slot against Christian Kirk, right?
No.
So that's the thing, right? I mean, Christian Kirk, this is probably a decent
That'll
game
be K'Wan Williams.
Right, and he was a very good slot corner.
Yes, he is.
But with Pat Surtain on probably Marvin Jones outside, Zay Jones, it's Denver. You're lowering expectations across the board. I guess Evan Engram, there's your passing game play, and maybe Kirk, but not Trevor Lawrence, because, again, you expect Denver's defense to hold this down. And see, so on the surface, it looks like it's going to be another one of these 12-11, 16-13, 13-9 ugly Denver games. And hopefully they can find a way to win this one instead of lose it. Although last week Jacksonville showed they know a thing or two about finding a way to lose a game they should win.
Am I going to have Jermichael Hasty as my sleeper of the week? Oh, make sure to stay tuned for that. Carolina and Atlanta is up next here. And, well, what can you do for an encore? It's like the Daffy Duck magic trick. It's like, it's great. I can only do it once. Well, can you do it again? It's against Atlanta. Carolina, you should be able to do it again. So will you actually be trusting Panthers players in week 8, Bloom?
Yeah, my headline here on my notes for Carolina is they going to stay awake or are they going to go back to sleep? And it's tough to predict. Chuba Hubbard doesn't sound like it's a serious ankle injury, but if you're going to play a running back out of this backfield, you would play Foreman because he's the healthier running back. Obviously, Atlanta secondary is vulnerable. Joe Burrow ran them ragged last week, but I don't think that's what PJ Walker is going to do. Still, it's probably enough for you to play DJ Moore. And if you do have to dig deep to the waiver wire for a quarterback, PJ Walker at least has a good matchup and he's playing well. And my other note here is they could still win the division. They could absolutely still win the division, right? Hey, Tampa loses to Baltimore on Thursday night. They're only a game out of first place. This is an NFC South showdown, and sees the team that's tied for first place, the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, the Atlanta Falcons. And now with, less Kyle Pitts. I don't know. What did you decide on the couch yesterday, Bloom? I'm editing that this morning, but is it time to go away from your guy, our guy, everybody's guy, who should be, except for Arthur Smith, Kyle Pitts and the Falcons offense?
I didn't get to develop this part of is it time to drop Kyle Pitts take in the show yesterday, but I think the actual answer, because it's on the couch, is a psychological answer. If it's just too painful for you to put him on the bench, or it's too painful for you to keep playing him, getting those small results, then drop him to save yourself the pain. But I do think that things could eventually swing back enough. The bar is so low at tight end. If someone else drops Kyle Pitts, I'm probably going to try to find a way to pick him up, but I'm not going to put him in my lineup this week. Although this could be the game, right? Didn't he have a big game in London last year? Wasn't that one of his biggest games, or maybe the biggest game of the year? Maybe it's something about the longitude or the time zone or having some bangers and mash. I don't know. That gets Kyle Pitts off. So we'll see. I don't know. But is Marcus Mariota going to pass? Probably not. This is going to be another game. Carolina's not going to make them come out of their shell. So you're probably going against London and Pitts in your lineup. Tyler Algier remains a what the heck flex because they're going to stay committed to the run, and he at least has a chance to get a touchdown in addition to 3-point-something yards per carry. And at least this isn't a London game, right? I mean, at least we're not all having to watch this game. We're all having to watch Denver and Jacksonville. So I don't know. Yeah, right.
Trust me, I wish I could.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think that this is not going to be the game to snap them out of this. There's been a lot of things written about this, about how it's going against the grain in a way that we haven't seen before. Maybe we should have seen this coming whenever Arthur Smith was talking about receipts. And, he's just so driven. I made the point, Cecil, with Scott Barrett yesterday, because we think of Kyle Pitts not being used as the assumption of rational coaching letting us down. But maybe rational coaching for the Falcons, if you want to win games, is to only have Marcus Mariota throw the ball 15 times and just keep running the ball and hoping you get some sort of break or something. So I talk in circles because I just think this is one of those situations that it's not impossible that it could change, but signs that it could change on the horizon, not so much this week.
What are the signs for the Bears now? They got a little momentum going up against Dallas in Dallas. Wouldn't it be fitting that they beat the Cowboys? Now, I'm not going to predict that, Bloom, but, you get a little bit of momentum. You figure things out with Justin Fields, kind of, I guess. Just run, everybody. Run. Khalil Herbert, David Montgomery, Justin Fields, just run. You'll be all fine. You don't need to throw to Cole Kmet, okay? Now, against Dallas, did they get Jonathan Hankins? Is that right, Bloom?
Yes.
Is my mind tripping up there?
No.
So they got a veteran run stuffer. We'll see if he'll be ready to play. But either way, that's a team that plays check whip ass. Not a lot of discipline on that defense, although they are very fierce. Swarming, right? Swarming Cowboys defense with that check whoop ass. So do the Bears whoop ass themselves by running it down their throat?
Maybe. We thought we knew with the Bears. And then Monday night, they said, not so fast. Right. We might have a good offense and a good defense. Interestingly, by the way, I dug up on the Twitter. I know you love the Twitter, Cease. That Micah Parsons, on Halloween of 2020, Micah Parsons tweeted out, I believe Justin Fields is the best quarterback in America or something like that. So we'll see. He'll get to reintroduce himself. Remember, Big Ten football. Is Fields for real? I'm probably putting him back in because I don't think the Cowboys are going to Dan Quinn. Are you going to really mush rush Justin Fields when you have Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence and all these guys, Torrance Armstrong?
But they play check whoop ass. There's no discipline or plan. Right. It's just like see ball, get ball.
Yeah, and I don't think you ask a team to change in 1 week for that. Mm-hmm. So this could be a good game for Fields. And also know this, Fields said that they're taking plays out of the Ravens playbook. They're ripping plays off of the Ravens, designed runs. So that's a good sign that there's going to be value there, value persisting. And even if the Greg Roman offense got stale after a while, remember that first year made teams a little off balance. They weren't that prepared for it. And see, there was a really good piece this morning that John Walford penned for The Athletic. And he just detailed what like a Wednesday is like. That's it. Just, I'm the backup quarterback. This is what Wednesday is like for me. And how long do you think it was?
I have no idea.
I mean, ridiculous. Just ridiculous. Like his schedule from like 5:45 in the morning all the way to like 8 o'clock at night is just all wall-to-wall football, right? And intense football. He's just talking about how stressed out you are because it's Wednesday. You're stressed out on Wednesday. But the thing is, all that stuff's backwards looking, right? He said by Wednesday, you've already got yourself familiar with all the different kinds of coverages teams do in different situations. The team, like by Wednesday, you're already very familiar with your opponent for that week, right? But if the Bears are trying to get it and incorporate more of that Greg Roman playbook and designed runs for Justin Fields, there's not a lot of tape of that, right? So maybe this is where the NFL's rigidity and saying, well, we have to just look at what they've done and prepare for that. Maybe the Bears get the drop on the Cowboys here. Otherwise, you have Khalil Herbert getting a bigger part of the split here. So he is at least a what-the-heck flex, and he may really turn this into a committee. But if the offense is more viable, David Montgomery still looking decent as a running back 2 flex. And Cease, like you said, because this is an undisciplined defense, if you were to use Darnell Mooney as a what the heck flex, remember what happened whenever Greg Roman and Lamar Jackson really joined forces whenever Jackson was ready in 2019. The shot plays were there. The shot plays were always there. So dial up a few shot plays to Darnell Mooney. Only one needs to work. What if more than one works? So much more interesting game. See, a couple weeks ago, we would say, oh, this is just going to be a massacre. It's just going to be another embarrassment for the Bears. Now, well, the Bears weren't the team that was embarrassed on Monday night.
Right. That's exactly right. By the way, for our friend Jason, the pot stoner degenerate, I saw Khalil Herbert at the Senior Bowl.
Yeah.
And I saw Dak Prescott at the Senior Bowl as well. Fill up that bingo card and let's talk about Dak, Bloom, because like, is he okay? Is he going to be okay? It was supposed to be better last week and it wasn't. First week back, give him a pass or whatever. And against the Bears, you're at home. I don't know how many passes you can hand out for Dak this week if he doesn't look a little sharper, a little more efficient. And how does that look? More Noah Brown. Dalton Schultz seems to be healthy. Of course, lots of Zeke, always. Tony Pollard, is he sleeper of the week? I wish. I hope, Bloom. But let's talk about these Cowboys and Dak specifically.
Yeah, and we're going to weigh Dak Prescott. Was it just his first week back, a little rusty, versus, well, Dak Prescott was facing a Lions defense, which is pretty easy to solve. And the Bears defense, maybe we've got to put some respect on them. We thought that the Patriots offense was a rising star for fantasy, and maybe it was just facing the Lions and the Browns as they were doing the Great Lakes tour, because the Bears frustrated them. Well, can the Bears frustrate Dak Prescott, or at least a little bit more than the Lions did? But you know that Dak, maybe it's CeeDee Lamb's not going to go Stephon Diggs. Okay, CeeDee Lamb is not going to be a league winner, but CeeDee Lamb is going to be the main target. And then Dalton Schultz. Let's watch the practice reports. He missed a few plays last week with that problem knee, but he should be okay. And again, when Dak Prescott threw that touchdown, he threw it to a tight end. And then, of course, there's Ezekiel Elliott. And this offense being much more viable, even with a conservative Prescott than with Cooper Rush, is going to help him. And it's going to continue to open up things for Tony Pollard. I think that we're much more inclined to play him than sit him now. And again, this is another test. Philadelphia is good. Buffalo's good. Kansas City's good. Is Dallas good? This is the kind of game that they should win. And maybe not comfortably, but at least be able to keep this game on their terms. But like we saw, the Bears, they're waiting in the weeds to jump out on you. Cowboys, we'll see.
Yeah, we shall see. And we shall see Miami and Detroit as our next game that we're going to talk about in part 1 of the Week 8 preview here on the Audible. Cecil, Lammey, Sigmund, Bloom talking Dolphins and Lions. And Dolphins side, okay, Miami, get it right with Tua. Get it right out there with your receiving weapons. Maybe a dash of Mike Gesicki. Basically, whatever they want to do this week against the Lions on the road should work. So that should be some fantasy goodness, Bloom.
Yeah, Miami's offense got off to a really hot start against the Steelers, didn't score in the second half. I still think that you're going to see this as one of the more dangerous offenses week in, week out. And against Detroit, ooh, what do they say at the Indy 500? Gentlemen and ladies, start your engines. And yeah, so this could be one of those weeks where Hill and Waddle are both top 5 wide receivers, and Tua is a top 5 quarterback. And yes, Raheem Mostert. Let's give him his moment. He doesn't got a lot of respect. Doesn't got a lot of respect in fantasy parts because of injuries, but he's healthy. He's a lead back. He's contributing in the passing game. He had a receiving touchdown last week, and he's a running back 1, at least in this matchup. He is. And then there's Mike Gesicki. Even Mike Gesicki. Snap staying above 60%, 7 targets in back-to-back weeks. It wasn't just Teddy being out there. So if you're looking for a bye-week coverage play, Kelsey or Everett, there's Gesicki out there. And I'm not ready to put Miami in the good team category yet, Cease. But I am open to it, and certainly they should be able to handle a reeling Lions team, although I'll be rooting for the Lions in this one season. I want Dan Campbell to stick around. I don't want Dan Campbell to be a 2-and-done coach, but you got to do something to change the trends for this team, or that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen because you have limitations in your offense. When's Jameson Williams going to come back? Michael asked that in the chat room. I was like, that gives you a bright ray of hope, but haven't heard anything lately, Bloom. So, we're waiting. Well, we're waiting, Judd Smalls. Let's talk about the Lions and who they do have and that is, I guess, Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yeah.
What is it with all these injuries? Like, it's totally not a concussion. It was just a neck thing, head,
Yeah.
something. Don't say it's a
Yeah.
concussion. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's weird, Bloom.
We should see Amon-Ra St. Brown, and hopefully that helps loosen things up in the offense. Again, it wasn't a concussion, or at least he didn't suffer a concussion, but I believe the official word was that the independent spotter, seeing him struggling getting up, ataxia, I think it's a struggle movement, you rolled out, no matter what the concussion protocol, what the tests say. So he should be back, and we shouldn't be worried about a second concussion in back-to-back weeks and things like that. How much does that help? Is DeAndre Swift back? And is it the shoulder? Is it the ankle? Is it both? I know that there was last season some worries about DeAndre Swift playing hurt versus playing injured, all these different things. So obviously, if DeAndre Swift is back, he's in our lineup, and it helps this offense a lot. And it might even help Jamal Williams. I know he fumbled at the 1, but you think that Jamal Williams has more opportunities for those. How many times this year? I think we've twice already seen DeAndre Swift get the ball down inside the 5 and then Jamal Williams finish. So it might actually be better for Jamal Williams if Swift is back. Obviously, it's better for this offense. I'm going to watch practice reports with Josh Reynolds. If St. Brown is back, remember Reynolds, he went into the bye with an ankle, came out with a knee injury, missed the first 2 practices, limited on Friday. If we see that improve, maybe he's a little bit more of a what the heck flex. We got to talk about Brock Wright. Brock Wright. But he was he caught 12 passes, I think, in his career at Notre Dame. But Notre Dame tight end, though. And he actually had a faster 40 than TJ Hawkinson. That's why whenever Brock Wright caught those passes last week, people were like, that's TJ 89, 88. They look pretty close. That's not TJ Hawkinson. That's Brock Wright. Just wanted to mention that, but it does diminish a little bit what you thought you had with TJ Hawkinson. This could still all be bad, Cease, because it's Jared Goff. Jared Goff had 4 turnovers last week. Now, he was shorthanded, but this is the Miami defense. They still have that Brian Flores DNA. Josh Boyer still there. They're going to put how do you make Jared Goff look really bad? You rush him and you make him make quick decisions. So is Miami going to do that? So it could still be, even if some players get back on the field for Detroit, a bad offensive game for them. And I hope it's not again, because I like Dan Campbell. I want to keep him around these parts.
Yeah, some feel-good stuff. So if it's pressure, Goff, and quick passes, that means my buddy Khalif Raymond's going to get like 10 catches.
Yeah.
Is he sleeper of the week?
Ooh.
Yes, that's right, everybody. Arizona and Minnesota is our next game that we are going to discuss and break down. And the Arizona side, were Nuke and Murray arguing on the sidelines? Is that necessarily a bad thing? Listen, It's a passionate game. It's a game of emotion. I mean, Shelby Harris lunged at Vic Fangio every day. There you go, Jason. We'll fill up that card for you, buddy. You just slow down. You just hold on there, buddy, okay? All right, so let's talk about Arizona. I don't care if they're spatting on the sidelines. Go out there and make beautiful music together on the football field, and, well, that's what Nuke and Murray can do. We're watching the running back status report, and we're wondering, will Eno Benjamin do a little bit more this week, Bloom? And going up against Minnesota on the road, well, it would be nice to see a high-powered Cardinals offense. They might have to be.
Yeah, again, this makes me think of Dennis Green, rest in peace. Great man, did a lot of great things. Don't want to just remember him for let him off the hook. So Kyler Murray to DeAndre Hopkins. That's the hookup. Hopkins ran 27 snaps out of the slot. So there you go. It's set up for him to be a wide receiver 1 for PPR for the rest of the year. And why change it? It was the Cardinals probably the best game of the year. And does that also mean that this offense has settled down? And for Kyler Murray, it's settled down maybe in a bad way for fantasy, because if it's settled down, then he's going to play within himself. It's not just going to all be on his shoulders. The defense has to do their part too. We'll get to that. But DeAndre Hopkins can keep things calm and rack up those catches and keep the chains moving. And, well, what does that mean for Zach Ertz? What does that mean for Rondale Moore? I think, again, if Arizona falls behind, then there's probably enough pass attempts for those guys to maybe have some value. If Arizona's defense does their job, Andy Dalton's not going to be out there throwing pick sixes. But if this is a competitive game, a game that stays within 1 score, then maybe it's not going to be so much passing. It might be more running, maybe with James Conner. I think if James Conner's back and it's ribs, it's not something that you think there's a lot of risk of re-injury, like a soft tissue injury or something like an ankle sprain where if you bring him back a little early, then you might see him tap out or be limited in his effectiveness. So I think if Connor's back out there, you got to play him. But let's watch this closely with Eno Benjamin. And let's see if Eno Benjamin gets more like a Chase Edmonds role, because quite frankly, Benjamin looked better running the ball than Edmonds looked at any point in his career with the Arizona Cardinals last week. And we know what he can do in the passing game too. We know he can basically be a 3-down back for this team. So maybe you preserve Connor by turning this more into a committee. We'll watch that. Benjamin, more of a what the heck flex or sleeper of the week. And again, Arizona Cecil, I think, is a perfect team to say, what happened in the first 7 weeks? Who cares? What's going to happen in the next 11 weeks? That's what's going to determine where this team ends up, because San Francisco's disappointing. The Rams are disappointing, right? Seattle, is it Seattle? Maybe it's Seattle, but Arizona says maybe it's us.
Yeah, maybe. Why not us? That's what they say. Bloom, it's almost like we have 3 seasons, maybe even 4 seasons in the NFL now. So now I'm thinking of Boys to Men.
Right. To everything, turn. I'm doing the Turtles.
Okay.
There is a season.
We got to talk about the Vikings.
Birds.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
The Turtles.
The birds,
animals.
the
One of those animal bands.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Go Ninja, go Ninja, go. That's right. Vanilla Ice on the show today. Who had that on your bingo card?
Yeah.
Viking side is fairly simple, Bloom. We already know the names. We already know the games. Actually, the most complicated part of the Vikings is whether or not you think Adam Thielen will come through as a flex play.
Yeah.
That's about it, honestly.
Yeah. And he could. Yeah. It's the Justin Jefferson show in the passing game, but Byron Murphy has been really good this year. He's graduated. Shut down corner. Well, he shut down Devontae Adams. Can he shut down Justin Jefferson? It might be a little bit different. Also, remember, this offense is supposed to scheme Justin Jefferson into matchups against safeties, against linebackers and things like that. Although they have some pretty athletic linebackers for the Cardinals. So that gives you a path to Adam Thielen coming through. That makes him more flex worthy this week if Byron Murphy can go ahead and blot out Jefferson. And with Cousins, I think that you're looking at him as viabilities attached to, again, the Arizona offense and forcing Minnesota to come out of a shell where they build a lead, and then we see a lot of Dalvin Cook. Of course, you're going to continue to play Cook. He's healthy coming out of the bye. The best play, here's your sleeper of the week, Cease. At least your sleeper tight end of the week. It is Irv Smith. And I'm just going to run this down, Cease. This is what tight ends have done against Arizona this year. And these trends eventually break. So this is no guarantee. 10 for 132 and 2 touchdowns in the first game. That was Kansas City. 9 for 80 and a touchdown. That was the Raiders. So Darren Waller actually was okay. 5 for 89 against the Rams. And I want to point out the 5 for 89 because we know the Rams have been throwing to Tyler Higbee a lot, but they averaged, almost 18 yards a catch to the tight end. 4 for 40 against the Panthers. Cease, maybe that's the most impressive one of all. The Panthers tight ends had 4 catches for 40 yards against them. Dallas Goedert had 8 for 95. And then last week, the tight ends were assuming, hey, when Taysom Hill is split out wide, he's a H-back tight end. 3 touchdowns for New Orleans tight ends last week. Irv Smith, this is the guy you want to fill in for Travis Kelce or Gerald Everett.
Irv Smith, thank you very much. Thank you, Raiders and Saints. Is it this Dennis Allen Bowl? Like, seriously, what are we, the Dennis Allen revenge on himself?
Right.
Revenge on Saints fans?
The Precious Metal Bowl, black and silver versus black and gold.
Okay, maybe. I got you. So Raiders and Saints is our next game up in part 1 of the week 8 preview here on the Audible. Raiders side, it's fairly simple.
Yeah.
They figured it out. Josh Jacobs. The last 3 games he's had, well, off the top of my head, Bloom, 144, 154, 143. So it sounds like we should be projecting him for about 140 yards on the ground because that's what they're doing. They're running the hell out of the ball, and then, little Devontae and Hunter Renfrow seems to be healthy. What's the health status of Darren Waller? Like, we're watching that, whatever. You got Foster Moreau. Okay, it's become the Josh Jacobs show in Vegas, and now the show's on the road in the Big Easy.
Yeah. Welcome. It's Halloween. It's always Halloween in the Big Easy, right? It's Josh Jacobs and Devontae Adams. You're going to have some plays. Last week it worked for Devontae Adams on limited catches to still have a big game because, defenses are going to be loading up to take out Jacobs. Marshawn Lattimore isn't there anymore as a shutdown corner. I mean, he's not been healthy. Is Darren Waller back? Should we care? If Darren Waller's back, should we play him? Don't know. It isn't like he's done that much this year that's give us fear of missing out if we have him on the bench. I mean, I'd probably play Irv Smith over Darren Waller this week. It continues to be a little mysterious how long he did get the new deal before the season. So what's going on there? Not much to help you for fantasy because Josh Jacobs is doing so well. And the Saints, who's the quarterback? When you have 3 quarterbacks, how many do you have? Still none.
Yeah, still 0. So if you're the Saints, well, things become a little bit easier once we know, wow, Chris paused Tales of the Jedi. That's saying something.
Respect,
Thank
yeah.
you for taking a break from Disney Plus to watch Football Guys Plus. Do we have a plus? I thought
Not
we had
yet.
a plus. We
Not
don't have
yet.
a plus? We're on plus.
How about
okay.
Football Guys Sigma or Football Guys Asterisk?
Okay. Audible Plus?
Audible Plus?
Does that mean okay? Yeah. All right. Let's talk about the Saints side of things. Who's injured? That's my first question. It's Wednesday morning, so we're watching the injury reports, but it's like, is Michael Thomas going to play? Like, who's out there for the Saints? Where's Jarvis Landry at? Like, is it all Olave? Okay, that's the first question. So, can we really talk about the Saints here? I guess, Bloom. Guess we have to.
Yeah. And again, it starts with the quarterback. Who's the quarterback going to be? Well, Andy Dalton did his Jameis Winston impression last week, throwing 2 touchdowns to the opposition and 3 to tight ends. Alvin Kamara, we're playing him regardless. I suppose that's the one player. There's 2 players really that are affected the most here. Alvin Kamara, because the offense is a little more on schedule and coloring inside the lines. That's a lot more Alvin Kamara since Dalton's been the quarterback. And it's Chris Olave with a lot more downfield passing if it's Jameis Winston. Of course, we're going to see those 10 snaps, maybe 4, 5, 6 with Taysom Hill at quarterback. You're still going to play Chris Olave regardless, even if Michael Thomas is back. Another player, Michael Thomas and Darren Waller, these are your in search of, Bigfoot, the urban legends kind of players. When's the production going to come? When are they even going to play again? Olave's in regardless. Even when Taysom Hill threw last week, he had a big play. We're going to watch and see. Like you said, I mean, really, it matches my notes perfectly. Is Adam Troutman going to be healthy? If he is, then Juwan Johnson, not so much. But Juwan Johnson had 2 touchdowns last week. But does it matter whether it's Andy Dalton or not? We do know that Juwan Johnson has had his moments as a red zone tight end even before Andy Dalton. And the last note I'll say again, you're only 1 game out of first, Saints. You're still alive. Follow the Pelicans example. Scrap out a win with everyone banged up.
That's right. Brandon coming through as always in the chat room says, if the Audible had a streaming service, it's got to be named Sorry Joe. Right. That would be for the like R-rated stuff. You know what I mean? Like we have our streaming service where we keep 18? It clean. Yeah. And then if you're over 18, you click the box and then you could see us and cussing and bad words.
The Sorry Joe section. Yeah,
yeah,
I like that.
See,
I think
have a couple of the old Western doors, like on a saloon, that you have to go through, like the Sorry Joe section.
See, I have this picture, like in 20 years, everybody, like it's just going to be a thing. 20 or 25 years, when people say something that offends somebody, they'll say Sorry Joe, and no one will know why. They'll just know that that's what you say when you say something that might have been a little over the line. You say Sorry Joe,
Sorry Joe, and that makes it all better, right?
Yeah. It's just like crossing yourself,
We got 1 game left in part 1 of the week 8 preview here on the Audible, and it is the Patriots and it is the Jets. Holy cow, Bloom. This one, and think about how we would have thought about this earlier, right? Much like Chicago and Dallas. We would have thought about this one earlier and be like, Patriots are going to roll, Jets, whatever. And now it's the opposite. And now you're like, uh-oh, New England. Uh-oh, Happy learned how to putt. We'll get to the Jets side in a little bit. Can you tell I'm excited about the Jets? Even Sans, Breece Hall, pour one out.
Yeah.
But the Patriots side is like, well, who? Huh? What? Mac Jones, Bailey Zappi? What? And then the Damian Harris, he's like, he's back, but they're not going to use him.
Right.
But will they use him more? Was that just his first game back? So what does that mean for Ramondre Stevenson? Too many questions, Bloom.
Yeah, too many questions. Is it Mac Jones or is it Bailey Zappi? But either way, Robert Saleh has this defense playing well, right? Sauce, extra sauce, please. Sauce Gardner, probably going to be on Devontae Parker. So you like Jacoby Myers a little bit more this week. Tyquan Thornton, it didn't quite happen for him last week. Maybe he's a shut him down. Maybe you wait and see if this offense can get things going with Mac Jones. I don't think you're going to play the quarterback, whoever it is. And I do think you're going to play Ramondre Stevenson. And like you said, Cecil, we have to tease this apart. Was he not 100%? Was it the game script? Are they just realizing Ramondre Stevenson has more to offer? Maybe all of the above. Either way, you're not going to leave Stevenson on your bench. You are going to leave Hunter Henry on your bench, or maybe even shut him down, as we saw that come to a screeching halt. Because, Cecil, I think that we're going to be asking, well, what happened? It was the Lions and the Browns. Is that the only reason the Patriots offense looked good? Or is the Patriots offense kind of rudimentary, but against teams that can't just play assignment sound football on defense, it's going to work. And sometimes it's going to really work, but against better defenses, and the Jets sure look like one, it isn't going to work. So I don't know how much we're going to be able to evaluate the Patriots offense in this one. We might just be saying it's more evidence that the Jets defense is good. And remember, Cease, even when the Patriots were good, even when it was Brady and Belichick, especially when it was Rex Ryan, often the Jets had their number. The Jets are that team. They're the little brother, but they know the tricks. They know how to beat big brother to the punch. They're not intimidated. And how much would they like to continue to send the Patriots down this disappointing path and continue to surprise, shock the world? And remember this too when we talk about the Jets as we transition to the Jets. And we talked about this on the show, Cease, magical thinking and the organism, this collective psyche that a team has. They had no business beating the Browns, and they lost the next week too. They looked like they were going to be one of the worst teams in the league against the Bengals. They had a really rough game against the Bengals in week 1 against the Ravens. Remember, they started out with the AFC North. In those 2 games, they were soundly beat, but when they beat the Browns in week 2 in a game they had no business winning, maybe that started something. And here we're watching it continuing, the petals of the flower continuing to open. And wouldn't it be a wonderful treat to spin a little faster, that tailspin the Patriots are in now after what the Bears did, and continue to show people injuries, we're going to keep marching on.
Yeah, leave no doubt.
Yeah.
Leave no doubt. That's what Denzel said. And remember the Titans. And if you are the Jets, if you're Robert Saleh, leave no doubt. You lose this game to the Patriots, and people, oh yeah, well the Jets, okay.
The Broncos, everyone can beat the Broncos.
Yeah. And Bloom, see, this show should be on Sorry Joe Plus, which we got to make a thing now, by the way.
Yeah.
Yep. Sorry Joe Plus.
Spoke it into existence.
Would we be allowed to drink on that show? Like
drink? I was thinking not just drink.
Okay.
Take all the restrictions off.
All right. Yeah. I live in Colorado, baby. Come on.
Yeah.
You're like everything. So we have a good time. We treat you like adults.
Yeah.
But I think you mentioned magical thinking. This would be a show for Sorry Joe Plus, right? We get all blasted, and then we talk about like all thinking's magical. What you think about, you bring about. So
thinking
if you
is
think,
magic.
Here we go again. We can't win. Guess what? Here you go again. You're not going to flip and win.
Yeah.
But if you think, hey, I got the receipts. Let's go kick the crap out of these guys. Guess what you're going to do? You're going to go kick the crap out of those guys. So all thinking is magical. Often urge everyone that I care about, and I care about everyone listening to my voice right now, be careful what you think, because you bring your thoughts into the physical world. So think positively. Think like Robert Saleh. We all need to be more like Marshawn. We all need to be more like Robert Saleh, right? Just fired up, ready to go, and ready to attack. Belichick's going to try to take the best thing they do away from them. Okay, but so did the Broncos.
Yeah.
So have other teams, and they still figure out a way to win. So how is that way? What is the way? This is the way?
This is the way.
I
have spoken. Well, you know that Zach Wilson, you don't want Zach Wilson to have the ball after like 3 seconds, right? Here's the game plan for the Jets. Count to 3. 1, 1,000. 2, 1,000. 3, 1,000. Zach Wilson better have the ball out of his hands, or he better just be running. And I don't mean scrambling to throw the ball downfield. I mean just run, get a gain, and slide. And that's fine because of the defense that they have. And you enter James Robinson. James Robinson, early down carries, keeping early downs to keep the offense on schedule, set them up in 3rd and 3s and 3rd and 4s. Michael Carter, I don't think the split's going to be quite as severe towards the early down back as it was when it was Breece Hall. But I do think you're going to see Michael Carter, James Robinson. They're both what the heck flexes. And I would guess that New England is going to sell out to keep the ball in Zach Wilson's hands. If there's an injury that we're worried about for the Jets, it's not the Breece Hall injury, although that was sad. There's a good segment. I had to cheer up Scott Barrett yesterday, by the way. It was a true on the couch episode, and it worked. I was able to cheer him up. I was able to cheer him up, because he's like, I lost Breece Hall. I'm sad.
Wait till he
I'm
gets the
depressed."
bill.
right. But it's because just like the Jets, our fantasy teams have to go on. And what spirit do you want to go on? You want to just drag yourself into it, or say like, we can overcome? Because they absolutely can. Now, Corey Davis has a knee issue. Elijah Moore maybe back in the fold. Garrett Wilson. Again, I just think that maybe you take your shots downfield a few times to Moore or Wilson. But this is a game. See, this might not be the most entertaining game, because I think it's a game where the winning team is the team that makes fewer mistakes, really. And I think that both of these teams are going to play it pretty close to the vest. And I think this is going to be a game where you see a lot of emotion. This isn't the rivalry that it was at its peak, say 13, 14 years ago. But these players are going to care about this game a lot more than whatever it means in the standings, whatever it means for playoff hopes or what have you. And the thing I want to end with here is we end up with the Jets. I love that they made the trade for James Robinson. I love it. I love it, Joe Douglas, because you as the GM are sending a message to your team. Nothing's different. Nothing's changed. We're on the march. And to immediately do it too, because there's some reports about the Browns, they're going to trade Kareem Hunt. Well, if they beat the Bengals on Monday night, spoiler alert, the Monday night game, then maybe they won't. But if they do, then they have like the end of the Monday night game till the trade deadline, like 4 Eastern the next day. They want to see. The Jets don't need to see. The Jets know they're in it, and I would love to see them keep that winning streak going.
Yeah, I'd love to see it as well. It is the Audible Part 1 Week 8 preview, but we have one segment left, and it's the one, where's K1 at? It's the one we're all looking forward to, because it is time for our ever-popular Sleeper of the Week.
It's time for the Sleeper of the Week, powered by Sleeper.
Bloom, the Sleeper of the Week is Irv Smith.
Yeah, right.
That's
flex him.
Let's flex him. Put him in there. Yeah, Irv Smith, Sleeper of the Week. And with Minnesota, I almost put Adam Thielen in there, but Thielen's not necessarily a sleeper. So I'm going to go with Irv Smith. I like that call. Bloom, in Week 8, Part 1, who is your Sleeper of the Week?
Like you said about the Cowboys defense, they gamble. You like gamble? They gamble. And Lamar Jackson, Ravens playbook, that tells me Darnell Mooney, Sleeper of the Week. It only takes one play for him to satisfy that honor.
Now we got more ideas coming through for Sorry Joe Plus.
Yeah. Oh, Sorry Joe Plus could be
your cat. We should have your cat. Like, you get one of those cams that just watches your cats, right?
And you can put one on their head too. Like, you can put the little.
Oh, those are awesome. Yeah.
Just watch and just see like what's your cat doing right now. You know, there's so much. Cease. I think that with little do we know that Footballguys was really just the chrysalis for Sorry Joe Plus.
Yes.
So get in. We're going to start selling like preview subscriptions or something like that. Like, we don't know what Sorry Joe Plus is going to be. We don't know when it's going to launch. But if you want to be the first to have it, just give us a $99.99 deposit or something.
Exactly. Yeah, we got our crack sales team on that. Let's get that sold so we can have Sorry Joe Plus. Lassie barks on Sorry Joe Plus. Yeah, I like it. We could do so much. It'd have to be on like Rumble or something. I don't think we could have it on YouTube, but either way, that's a wrap for today. We appreciate you guys. Be safe, be kind, know that you're appreciated. He's Sigmund. I'm Cecil. We are the Audible, everyone. Stay tuned. And as always, I command that you stay frosty.